This is my 9913 again, all ready to sew, property of the U.S. You may think this is a little strange, but what I'm doing is putting a replacement motor back on the 99. I've been using it as a hand crank for a while, and yesterday when I made the video about the bobbin winder and having to build up the hand wheel a little bit so that the bobbin winder the reason that is there's only so much of an adjustment you can make here with how high the bobbin winder sits. Now, the video I'm making right now is because this is a way to fine-tune your sewing, even though it's a bobbin winder adjustment. Yes, there's no problem with me sitting there holding the bobbin winder down to wind either a bobbin or a spool of thread. But I'm putting this back together as an electric with a replacement motor. What I just did, the hand wheel, the original hand wheel from Singer, sits differently than a replacement spoked hand wheel. And so I adjusted the bobbin winder where I thought it should be for this electric hand wheel. And actually, the bobbin winder was turning too slowly. And it's just a minor adjustment there, but it just makes it either easy and smooth and perfect or a little bit difficult. And just that minor adjustment, if you leave it a little bit difficult, it's not a problem. You can still sew, you can wind bobbins, you can do all of that, but you're putting a little bit of a drain on your motor. You don't want the motor to overwork more than it has to. In other words, these machines were made to be finely engineered machines. And these minor adjustments, such as the bobbin winder or such as the hand wheel they decided belonged on here, I always have this argument with myself. Do I keep a machine original or do I adapt it? My grandmother always used this as a knee bar 9913. I took the whole motor controller out of here. I could put it back in if I wanted to, and I could also put the original motor back on, but the motor is 85 years old. And I know she had it serviced all the time, but it's 85 years old. So what I'm going to do today is put a replacement motor on there, and I had originally bought this, I think, for the Spartan. But I'm going to put this replacement motor on there. And the reason I'm doing that for a while, I have decided I am going to be selling many of my larger machines. This is the only machine that I promised my grandmother I'd never get rid of. And as I downsize, the reality is hitting me that I may end up with just the 99, simply because of the amount of room I have. So the advantage to having an electric motor on this is being able to use two hands to guide the fabric. It's that simple. Hand cranks are wonderful. I have the hand crank and the spoked wheel right there. I'm not going to get rid of them. So I can switch her machine back and forth anytime I want. But I was doing a pinwheel block the other day, and I started to do it with a handheld stitcher, and it's just so much easier to be able to hit a foot pedal and make the seam straight this way. In other words, we have these because they're wonderful. We can use all of the other types of machines I've talked about, but this machine was originally manufactured and sold as an electric. So even though I had to buy a motor that's probably not the quality of the original Singer motor, it was about $22 and easy to replace if you don't like hand cranking. I actually like hand cranking a lot, but like I said, the advantage here is I'll be able to guide the fabric. Now, why does that matter with a 99? This is a shorter throat space, or some people call it a harp space. if I'm going to make a quilt, I've got to roll the quilt up and shove it through here as I quilt it. So 99s and Spartans are 3/4 size machine, as well as the 28 or the 128. So you have a shorter bed length, and it's going to be easier to manipulate all that big fabric by using an electric. It's just easier. Some of my videos, you've seen me hand cranking a quilt, and you're constantly fighting the fabric to keep the weight of the quilt under the needle because your right hand is cranking. So I'm putting the motor back on it for a little while, and I just wanted to mention that if you do this, if you switch between a motor and a hand crank, with the hand crank you may have to build up a hand wheel, and with a motor, even though it's such a simple adjustment as where your bobbin winder sits, you want to make sure that you have that right. And the other point will be in the back, how tight I put the belt. You can have it a little bit more loose than you think you need to have it. But again, it's like fine-tuning a carburetor. It really is. If you work on your own cars, you know what I'm talking about. And you can take the time and make the adjustments to your vintage or antique sewing machine and having it really running like a Maserati.